Hey everybody, Zonga2134 here.
And as always, I'm Average Joe Squad.
And welcome to another episode of Remember the Hyphen, the show where we look at comic books, movies, and everything in between. I apologize for the facial hair. I'm regrowing my beard. It looks a little shit right now. But aside from that, it's Halloween! At least when this episode comes out, it will be October.
It's just Sam Ham season.
Sam Hain.
Sam Hain.
To be fair, that's actually how I heard it, but I know people pronounce it.
It's either or.
Yeah. Anyway. So, since it's the month of Halloween, I figured we would do, spoopy stuff.
We're gonna read the Bible.
Things spooky to everybody, not you.
It says the Bible.
Nah,
you cussed in the words of the Almighty Jake.
Anyway. So this first episode we're gonna do, I figured, to get everybody started up in the month of spoopy, we would do a little something lighter. If you remember last year, we reviewed the 4 direct-to-video Scooby-Doo movies. Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, Witch's Ghost, Alien Invaders, and the Cyber Chase.
We didn't do Down Under, which I'm upset about.
We can do Down Under.
I want to do Reluctant Werewolf. You heard me.
Keep it up, and the first thing we're going to do is return to Zombie Island.
How about fuck you? I'm not watching.
That's what
I'm
I
not
thought.
watching that, man.
That's what I thought.
I ain't doing it, man.
Speaking of bad
I'm altering
Scooby-Doo.
the deal.
Speaking of bad Scooby-Doo movies. So, if anyone remembers, the direct-to-video Scooby-Doo movies were actually considered pretty good when they came out.
Yeah.
To the point where there's like 700 of them now.
Flood that market.
So, around this time, sadly, I think, yeah, at this point, Don Mezek, the voice of Scooby-Doo, had passed away. But basically, kind of due to those movies, and also thanks to Cartoon Network re-airing Scooby-Doo, because I think Cartoon Network was like the first time anyone could watch like all of Scooby-Doo.
I'm not sure offhand.
But basically, due to like those two things, there was a resurgence in popularity for Scooby-Doo. So, Warner Brothers, in their infinite wisdom, decided, let's make a movie. It worked well for the Flintstones. Kind of. It worked debatably. It worked for Addams Family. Up to a point. So, let's just make a Scooby-Doo movie. Now,
it worked for Josie and the Pussycats, somewhat.
Well, depending on who you ask. But basically, there's something stuck on my teeth, I think. Anyway, sorry, I know. It's bugging me. I don't want to put my fingers in my mouth. But basically, for a year, I think until like 2000s, they were throwing a script around for, one of which was, I think, written by the guy who wrote Jay and Silent Bob and like Clerks. Kevin Smith actually wanted to make like a really dark parody of Scooby-Doo, much like
You are the son of Michael.
well, much not like that.
Doug somewhere is like, yes.
More along the lines the live action Brady Bunch film, which if you don't like, whether you like Brady Bunch or not, I know people that actually like that movie because it was a really hilarious parody. I'm one of those people, especially because they got the original Mrs. Brady back to be the grandma, which was hilarious. But basically, they wanted to do, like where Shaggy was like a hardcore stoner. And I think he even talked to Scooby like no one else did.
I'll never smoke weed with Shaggy again.
Yeah. They wanted to play up the whole Daphne and Velma were lesbians thing. And they wanted to do like a really dark parody.
Basically an adult version.
Yeah, basically an adult version. Unfortunately, for me, I think this was, as much as I don't like what we're going to be talking about, I kind of get where Warner Brothers was coming from, because Warner Brothers was like,
whoa,
are you high?
Kevin Smith, maybe a little.
Well, maybe a little. But basically, they went around to other people, and eventually I can't remember if he directed the first one, but I know with the second film they went with James Gunn, who everyone probably here knows as the guy who wrote Guardians of the Galaxy.
The guy who's fixing Suicide Squad.
And the guy who's fixing Suicide Squad. But basically, they went with a much friendlier film, although there are hints of the parody still in there, which of course became the live-action Scooby-Doo film. So before we really get into it, I guess I'll give my main thoughts on the first film, because we'll talk about the second film a little bit more after we do the first. Because I think the first one honestly is kind of I kind of waffle on which one is better than the other. They're both bad in their own way. What are your thoughts on these live-action ones before we go?
I don't think either of them are very good.
I mean, that's fair.
I like the first one, if only for biased pure nostalgia, because I used to rent this movie all the time from the Giant Eagle video rental store. Because I never had this one. I always used to rent it or it was on TV. As I told you, I've only seen the second one once, and I think that was more than enough.
Yeah.
Because I think the second one is worse than the first one. But again, I like parts of the first one, if not just because, again, the nostalgia and the completely stupid shit in it. I mean,
yeah.
if you've ever hung out with me and Brian, my buddy Brian, long enough, me and him will do the, like, she was like, what? I was like, later on. You know what I'm saying?
No,
we'll sit and do that because that scene is fucking stupid.
Yeah. I mean, it's better.
What's up, dog? And
it's better.
Dog?
It's better than the unnecessary fart scene that is in this movie.
Yeah, that one is bad. But the like is it the shit with Shaggy being like that and the Sugar Ray showing up. It's just, to me, it's funny.
I admittedly, because in my opinion,
we got some hamburgers here.
Oh yeah, hamburgers.
Got a call for Mr. Do. You mean Melvin Do?
I know, Scooby. Which I'm like,
the Melvin Do.
Actually, I love the part where he's like, I want Scooby Doo. Don't you mean Melvin Do? Me and Brian and Colin will all quote that movie because, again, it's so fucking stupid. It's laughable. You know what I mean? Yeah, I like the part where
at the very least, I don't think these movies are very good, but they're at least the first one's at least entertaining because it's just stupid.
Yeah. So in my opinion, the first movie has a actually fairly decent mystery. It's everything else that's wrong with it.
Yeah.
Whereas in 2, I actually think they get the cast better, but the mystery is shit. So let's talk about the cast real quick, just because I actually like pretty much everyone they picked for it, with one exception. So
is it gonna be an exception? I'm gonna be pissed at.
No, let's start with. I kind of don't think Freddie Prinze Jr. is very good as like Fred. But that's mostly because I don't think...
Fair. I actually will give you that one. That's actually pretty fair.
Like, and I don't think it's because he's bad. I just think they told him to act like Freddie Prinze Jr. instead of...
Man, he's Freddie. He's already Freddie. What are you talking about?
Like, the problem is, like...
Freddie Prinze Jr.
Well, especially because, like...
Freddie.
For those of you who don't know, this movie plays out a lot like on Zombie Island, where they've broken up. But unlike on Zombie Island, where they broke up because they've grown up and they've grown bored of the whole mystery-solving thing, here it's because Fred's an asshole that takes all the credit, which I'm like... I don't remember Fred taking all the credit in the TV show. Do you remember Fred taking all the credit in the TV show?
No.
And like I said, I don't think he's bad necessarily. It's just he doesn't act like Fred. He doesn't make traps. He doesn't act like a lovable goofball like he does in the later cartoons.
I just remembered the worst joke of all with his character. Hey, I can look at myself naked.
To be fair,
that was the dumbest shit.
That is, but like
that is funny.
If you were in Daphne's body,
listen. If I was in Sarah Michelle Gellar's body, I can't say I wouldn't do the same thing, respectfully, of course. But to be fair,
yeah.
But again, the scene is fucking stupid.
No, like he said, there's a lot of dumb.
There's a lot of dumb.
But you would agree with me, right? That I think Freddie Prinze of the ensemble cast is probably the weakest, just because they have one joke with Freddie, and it's not very good.
I think Sarah Michelle Gellar is the best out of them.
I actually will agree with you. I love Sarah Michelle Gellar as Daphne.
I like all the fighting scenes. She's just like, I'm hot off the set of Buffy. I know how to do all this shit.
That's what I think too. When I watch it, I'm like, oh, okay, we're just taking a break to do an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I actually really like her because I think they get the whole Daphne's not really as dumb as everyone thinks she is.
Yeah.
Like, and I like the fact that she wanted to get past the whole damsel in distress thing. I actually think that worked for her, and I think they incorporate that in later TV shows, like what Scooby-Doo, what's New Scooby-Doo.
I definitely think in more recent years they've moved away from that entire trope.
No, especially because like Daphne towards the later years of the Scooby-Doo shows that they did in the 80s wasn't like that like character. She was in fact the leader of the group when Fred and Velma weren't there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I actually really love Sarah Michelle Gellar as Daphne. I think she was the perfect fit for her. Although in the second film, I do love that scene where Scooby comes out wearing like these big like boots and like look basically in her clothes. And I love, you think Daphne's gonna be mad about the fact that he's wearing her clothes? Scooby, those boots with that top. I'm like, you know what?
I can think of a Scooby and drag as no one is gonna buy that. Who's the chicken? Who's the old brawn? I'm like, really, man?
I remember that too. And I'm like
again, this is why I argue the movie is entertaining, because we're sitting here laughing at it because it's funny.
Not only that, I'm like,
it's like an SNL parody.
Well, not only that, I'm like, Fred, how many times has Scooby and Shaggy gone into fucking drag? Especially for plans you guys fucking have.
Yeah, really.
Like, my God.
You remember the episode of Where Are You, where it's just Scooby in the trench coat with a fake mustache and a hat?
Yeah.
You gotta be brave, Scooby. Like John Wayne. Wrong Wayne? He squares up, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Well,
that was like a harken back to that. Was him doing shit like that.
It kind of works as like, for some reason in the show, everyone just acts like Scooby being able to talk and act like a real human being is normal as fuck.
Because we're all high as fuck.
Yeah.
Listen, the real star of the movie is obviously Scrappy.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
We'll get to Scrappy. We'll get there when we get there.
I like I said her name later today. The girl that plays Velma. Linda Cardellini is perfect as Velma. I love her as Velma, and I thank this movie for putting her in that halter top where I get to see her sweater puppies.
Really, bro? Really?
Well, you got to talk about.
That's different. Do as I say, not as I do.
Fuck you. I'm 30. I've lived long enough.
You're supposed to be a role. You need a role model.
Motherfucker, I'm your role model. But I actually like Linda Cardellini in both these films. I think she does a really great job as Velma.
Not to go on a tangent. Do you know where I get that from? That you need a role model.
No.
You've never seen Nick Cage's Gone in 60 Seconds, right?
No.
You've never seen it. We need to watch that, by the way. I love that movie. We need to review that. But
I'd
there's this scene where they're trying to steal a car, right? And this guy, they get the car, they bust in, they got the keys for it, and they're driving out of the parking lot. This guy goes running up with a gun. He's like, give me the car. And the guy's like, you gotta be shitting me. So he throws the door open, basically beats the guy on the ground. He's like, really, man? Any fool can pull a gun on somebody. What? You need a role model. Just gets in a car and drives away. It's so fucking funny.
Your thoughts on Linda Cardellini?
I think that was perfect casting for her. She looks the part. She acts the part. I could 100% believe her. If they were to recast this movie, I feel like her and Sarah Michelle Gellar would be the two you would leave because they get the characters pretty perfectly.
There is one more other person I would say. Matthew Lillard as Shaggy, because my God, he looks, sounds,
he used over 2% of his power.
Well, fun fact: he actually wanted this role so bad he actually like ruined his throat by screaming over and over so he can get that voice, so they could be like so that because he wanted to be Shaggy, like that. There was no ifs and buts. He wanted to be Shaggy. And to be fair, he's great because he's the guy who replaced Casey Kasem for later appearances with Shaggy. So like he's perfect for Shaggy. I actually argue he's probably the funniest part in this movie. My name's Mary Jane. Like that's my favorite name.
I was just about to fucking quote that.
God, because they really hammer the stoner shit with Shaggy. Like, why do we always gotta go into haunted houses? Why can't we ever investigate a haunted Burger King? God, I didn't think we'd be laughing this much when we talked about this movie.
This fucking movie's funny, man.
Shit, yeah.
It's funny.
I don't know who they have doing Scooby, but he's whoever it is
decent.
Is decent. I don't think he's as good
You
as
don't like the CGI dog?
Honestly, I don't think it's that bad.
It's not that bad. It has not aged
Aged well.
well at all.
But like,
It looks pretty bad.
But given what you have to do with Scooby, they couldn't have used a real dog. Like, you can't do the things Scooby can do with a real dog.
I argue it looks just as good as the animated Garfield.
Yeah. And to be fair, as much as those movies are bad, I actually don't mind the CGI they use for Garfield.
I don't mind it either. I actually like the first one.
Especially because I actually love the guy who plays Johnny. He's like, I actually had to learn how to hold Garfield because, like, with a regular cat, you can hold him like this and stuff. But, like, with a cat as big as Garfield, you have to, like...
As big a chunk.
As big a chunk as Garfield. You have to, like... you have to, like, you actually have to learn how to hold... Like, and I'm like,
that's pretty cool.
That's pretty fair. Like, but like, and to be fair, I actually like I said, I think this movie does really well in giving Shaggy and Scooby character because sometimes,
and like
sometimes
I said,
certain movies don't get how they should be.
Kind of going off what you said, where there was no way they were going to be able to do this with a real dog. I think, like I said, they went the right route using CGI, and although I'm sitting here saying it hasn't aged well because it certainly hasn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't look awful. I mean, you and I have seen a lot worse.
Oh yeah.
We've watched Sci-Fi Channel movies for the love. Oh, excuse me.
Yeah.
But like I said, he looks like Scooby.
Yeah, he looks like Scooby.
That's
he
the
acts
most
like
important
Scooby.
part. He looks like Scooby. He acts like Scooby.
He sounds like Scooby. So yeah, all in all, I think the cast is solid. I wish the writing for Freddy was better.
You don't like dog? Well,
no, that part I didn't mind. That's
not even really him, though.
That's not even really him.
It's not even really him. It's fake.
But like, so we've already kind of gotten into the plot. But basically, Mystery Inc. has gone their separate ways, and one of the weaker things I think with this film is they don't actually show what the rest of the cast are doing. They kind of tell you what the cast has been doing. Like, I mean, we get to see that Shaggy and Scooby are just being beach bums with the Mystery Machine, which...
Got a fucking stove in the back of the Mystery Machine.
Oh, yeah, because that scene where they try to imply that Shaggy and Scooby are doing...
hot box in the van.
They're actually just making, like...
I was gonna solve a mystery, but then I got high.
I was gonna run from the creeper, but then I got high.
And I know high. Because I got high.
God, we have the giggles this episode.
Now we're gonna get copyright strikes because I got high.
But basically, the last mission they were on, which
that ghost doesn't look terrible.
No, I actually love that ghost. I actually think that ghost looks pretty cool.
Creepy.
Yeah, it looks creepy and looks kind of fitting. Like there's a ghost right behind me, isn't there? What's sad is my Shaggy comes from the direct-to-video ones. My Scooby comes from this movie. But basically...
Classic.
Although, to be fair, I actually kind of like the opening to this because it plays like an actual episode of Scooby-Doo.
No, it really doesn't. I know some people have criticized that. But
yeah.
Like I said, I feel like that's... Jumping right into the action was the best way.
Yeah,
because you don't need to really introduce us to the characters. We already know who they are.
Because who the fuck doesn't know who Scooby-Doo is? Or any of the other... Like,
what have you been living under a rock?
It's like with Batman, like
you've been living under a rock?
Or Spider-Man for that matter. Like but basically Freddy once again takes the credit, which again, I don't know where they got that from.
I don't know either.
Like like I actually appreciate the Daphne subplot.
Not even a pup named Scooby-Doo does.
No, not even a pup named Scooby-Doo does that. A pup named
Nobody
Scooby-Doo
talks about that show whatsoever.
We should probably do that. Actually, you'd be surprised how many people talk about it online, but I would not mind us talking about a pup named Scooby-Doo at some point. But
we need to do more Scooby-Doo stuff.
We do need to do more Scooby-Doo stuff. But where's I going with? Oh yeah, so basically they stop what I think it was called the Lunar Ghost in this.
Yeah, the Lunar Ghost.
Yeah, which again I really like that design. I wish actually that the Lunar Ghost was actually the actual villain of the plot but basically. Fred takes the credit in front of all these people, including Pamela Anderson, who runs the toy, which is I think a reference to the new Scooby-Doo movies, where like they would just come across random celebrities that are running random jobs.
This episode, Scooby and the gang meet Sonny and Cher.
I actually have that episode memorized because that was like one of the only ones I'd ever seen of the new Scooby-Doo mysteries. Because it was like on this like VHS that I had, and it was like the only one.
I used to get Boomerangs, so I've seen all those, but I just remember some of those.
Especially because some of those were weird.
Like Mama Cass from the Mamas and the Papas, which is like, what the fuck?
Isn't that the one where they make fun of her like weight issues like the entire episode.
I think they do, and it's like really, really like
Uncomfortable
insulting.
because like she had eating like an eating
that's
disorder.
actually really insulting.
Like, although the best one for me is when they meet Batman, particularly because
I have it on tape.
Well, especially because Casey Kasem is voicing both Shaggy and the Riddler or Robin in this, so it's like, but yeah. So they go their separate ways, and we don't see what each one of them do, but we hear because I think Daphne took martial arts lessons. Fred wrote a book about how he solved all these mysteries, and I guess Velma did jack shit because for some reason these movies
Velma was running a bookstore. Let's be honest here.
Well,
It's just like Zombie Island. I've been thinking about this the whole time we've been thinking about this episode. Is that have you noticed that it's just at points a straight up fucking ripoff of Zombie Island?
Yeah, no, it legitimately
is a straight up ripoff.
No, it legitimately
and
is.
it does it poor.
Yeah, like down to the point that there's actual real monsters. Which, I mean, and granted, like I'm not bashing Zombie Island, but to be fair, in the original Scooby-Doo shows, they did fight real monsters, and I'm not just talking about 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo.
Yeah,
like there were real monsters occasionally, but yeah, no,
it does. It's like I understand where they were probably going for. Like, let's try something new, but at the same time, when you really think about it, they really just rehashed a movie that had already been made.
Yeah.
Which I can't tell if it was just one of those bona fide coincidences that just happens, or if it literally was like this movie was critically successful, let's just copy it.
I actually think
copy paste.
I actually don't think it was that. I actually think because like remember how I was talking about how they wanted to do a darker parody? I think they recycled stuff because they were hitting deadlines. So like, all right, let's just take some stuff from like a movie we know did really well and blend it in with the stuff we want to keep from the parody. I actually think that it's more they were
But it's just
a
like
product of necessity. But I see where
it's
you're
why
coming from.
most of the time I will actually argue with the live action Scooby-Doo. Just watch Zombie Island. You're basically getting the same exact movie
and way better.
It's infinitely better.
But so basically, they're all called together because the owner of this theme park, which is called Scary Island.
I thought it was Spooky Island.
Maybe it's Spooky. Either way, it's not a very creative name. It's not a very
generic ass fanfic level shit I've
surprisingly,
ever
Shaggy and Scooby don't want to fucking go to.
Like, fuck this, I don't want to go.
The only reason they go is because they were told they can have all you can eat. All you can eat?
Some like fucking course.
Scooby.
Of course.
So, you know, they all come together. They board a plane to go see Spooky Island. We're introduced to more or less some characters we were going to see that's going to potentially be suspects for this mystery. Particularly the girl for Shaggy to date named Mary Jane, which is the most
insert stoner joke here.
The most fucking obvious joke you can make with Shaggy. But the problem here is she's such a lame love interest too, because like she's into the same things he's into. She eats fucking Scooby snacks like he does.
It's like, bruh.
Which here it's really weird because at least with like the Hanna-Barbera show, you could argue Scooby snacks were made for people and animals.
Yeah.
Like they're just, but like the reason like they're called Scooby snacks is because Scooby is so popular.
And again, let's recycle this idea from the alien invaders.
Yeah.
Let's just recycle this shit.
She's not an alien in this.
Yeah, and do it worse.
And not only that, she's allergic to dogs. So, like, their relationship's not going to fucking work out anyways.
He basically spends all his time in a fucking van
with the dog! And, like, who would you choose? A girl who's got allergies to your magic talking dog or the magic fucking talking dog?
Magic fucking talking dog.
I would pick the magic fucking talking dog.
Scooby, you gotta talk to him, man. No, you're the son of Michael. Doug's watching this and he's laughing his ass off. No, and I'm quoting this shit.
I know. Oh, God.
You gotta talk to him.
Okay, we gotta... Okay, so, like, basically they meet a bunch of... And there's a little bit of slapstick where, like, Scooby's, like, freaking out on the plane because someone has a cat. Like,
rats.
And so he starts barking at the cat, even though he's supposed to be a grandma. So he flicks Scooby on the nose, so Scooby punches him in the fucking face. Which I'm
grandma,
like...
don't eat the kitty.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Which I'm like...
Are you for fucking real, man?
Like, Scooby would eat the fucking cat? I know he hates cats, but... I didn't think you wanted to fucking eat them.
Yeah, what the fuck?
So they go to Spooky Island. They meet the guy who created the island. I think his name's Mondavarius. I think.
Yeah, Mondavarius.
Which, again, on the fucking nose.
Mr. Obvious.
Yeah, Mr. fucking Obvious.
Why don't you just call him generic evil
Well, not
guy?
like that. He's done by the actor who did Mr. fucking Bean.
Which I'm like, bruh.
Which, like, so obviously he's the bad guy. You hired this fucking well-known actor to be the bad guy. And even then, he's not really the bad guy. We'll get to that.
We get there when we get there.
So, basically the gang decides that they're not going to actually work together to solve the mystery. They're going to split up and each take their own course of action. Although Velma and Fred, the ones who actually solve the fucking mystery, end up running in the same idea of what's like to figure out what's going on. Because basically, Spooky Island is a place for teenagers to go on spring break to get drunk and have sex. And
the problem is when they're leaving, they're all nice and well behaved, which is not normal.
Yeah, which like.
And they weren't that way when they arrived.
And they weren't that way when they arrived. Which is like the dumbest plot. Because like I don't really see why this is like a fucking scary mystery thing.
It reads more like a bad fanfic.
It really does read more like a bad fanfic. But basically, Shaggy and Scooby fuck around, like hang out with Mary Jane. Daphne eventually realizes that Fred and Velma are working together, so she wants to try and outdo them to prove that she's not. So she coerces Shaggy and Scooby to come with her to this haunted house. Which, of course, Shaggy and Scooby
shenanigans and shit.
Yeah, but like Shaggy's like, no, of course not. There's armor that moves when you don't look at it, and there's paintings that have eyes that follow you back and forth. Shaggy, how many times has that actually happened? 12. Which I'm like,
he's counted them.
No, I argue Velma just counted for him, and he just kept the number down.
It's actually happened more. That's just the number he goes with.
Yeah. But basically,
I actually wonder if that corresponds to the amount of times that's actually happened in Where Are You?
That could actually. I would not be surprised.
It might actually be that's how many times that happened in the show. Because they have to have come up with that number somewhere. I'm not buying it was just comedic effect.
But
that has to be a number somewhere that's happened.
But of course we get the stupid "Will you do it for a Scooby snack?" bit, which Shaggy tries to eat the fucking Scooby snack out of the air, which I'm like, bruh, just buy your own box.
No, I'm fucking poor. I don't have any money.
Well, he must have some money because he owns the car and can feed a fucking Great Dane.
Listen, he's still paying it off.
I know.
He's still paying that shit off, man. Car insurance ain't cheap.
Basically, yeah, like he said, shenanigans ensue. Eventually, they find out that this haunted house is a brainwashing facility. To like, well, okay, it's not actually a brainwashing facility. They think it's a brainwashing facility. It's actually to spoil the plot. Basically,
this movie's been out since 2000.
These weird looking rabbit demons are a part of this weird machine they find called the Daemonitis. Basically, these creatures can't stand sunlight, so they have to possess human bodies during the day. So basically, they put themselves into other people's bodies and force their souls out because they're actually important for like this ritual that we'll get into later. But basically, they're watching this weird, like 60s how to be like a normal kid video from like PSA. So they all talk like they're from like the fucking 60s. But then like they also talk like they're from the 90s.
It was like really, later on. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
It's really fucking weird. I'm gonna keep
fucking quoting it because it's so dumb. And it's the most quotable thing in the movie is that
there's also this infamous fucking scene where Shaggy and Scooby find like this kitchen set that they used to, I guess, make the fucking film too. Like, this haunted house makes no fucking sense because it's an actual haunted house, but also this brainwashing.
Beans? Double yuck.
And so they start farting, which is literally the plot just stops for like what, 10 fucking minutes?
Yeah, and it's like, bro, can we like that's the part of the movie where if I watch that now, I'm like, okay,
time to take my piss break.
No, not even that. I'm like, I'm gonna hit the skip button. I'm gonna head out. I'm gonna head out. I don't want to watch that.
Well, like,
it's not funny.
Yeah, like imagine this was an actual dark parody.
Imagine seeing this in theaters.
I did see it in theaters.
Did you really? You probably were like, what is this fucking?
No, like I was like 10 or 11, or no, actually I was like 12 or 13. And I'm like,
what the fuck am I watching?
Scooby and Shaggy don't do fart jokes. Like,
You were just like, when does this fucking end?
because like this is where I think like again like I said like this is because they had to cobble the script together, because literally that scene goes on for so fucking long.
It's like the comedic timing is fucked in it, basically.
Like I hate the fact that most movies ruin a fucking fart joke. Like, no, movies can't do fart jokes. They're always fucking terrible.
Implying that they're not all terrible by nature. It's like puns. There are no good puns. All fair, puns are shit. You just have to accept it and just fucking know that if you're going to do puns.
To be fair, as much as The Master of Disguise is not a very good movie, I actually think that there's a couple of times where they do the fart joke and it's actually kind of funny because of the timing they do with it.
Yeah, in my experience, they're never funny because to me, I'm like it's not funny because it's just childish. And it's not even childish to the point where, even as a kid, I didn't think that scene was funny.
Because everybody farts. Like, it's like how in movies they try to make it like somebody gets wet as a joke. Like, it's water. It fucking dries.
You fell in the pool. It's like,
yeah. I'm wet. And I'm like,
we've all fell in the pool once or twice. It's not fucking funny.
You dry off.
It's just...
It's annoying, but, like, you dry off. But...
You know what I think is funnier than both of those?
Yeah.
In movies where people get hit by cars. Like not getting killed, but they're like walking and all of a sudden, boom.
To be fair, that is like the funniest joke.
That is funny.
That is like the funniest joke in Mean Girls when she gets hit by the fucking bus.
Oh my god, listen. The best part is there's a gif of it.
Yeah.
It gets faster the more you watch it. And it's not even on purpose. It's just your eyes know what's coming, so it just starts getting faster. Sure. It's like I watched this bitch get hit 80 times. And it just keeps getting funnier every time I see it. So all I gotta ask is, do you think I'm qualified?
But so basically, after they find this all out, they have another stupid ass argument. And so they go back to, like, I guess the lounge at this hotel that's in the middle of Spooky Island. And basically, oh yeah, and also Velma finds a book about the Daemonitis, which is the big plot point of this. And she runs into this random barfly who's her fucking love interest. Because I guess he's charming? This guy was weird. Again, he was just written to be like one of the suspects for this film.
You want to know what I fucking think about him?
What?
You really want me to know what I think about him? Don't eat anything while I'm saying this, because you're going to laugh. I look at this guy, and I'm like, you know what? He looks like a fucking bitch.
He does,
I'm
actually.
Sorry.
He does.
I don't say that to you mean. He absolutely looks like a bitch.
No, he's like...
I'm like, bro, this is your love interest?
Yeah.
Come on, man. You can do better.
For God's sakes, the next one she's trying to bang Seth Green.
That's at least understandable. Everybody wants to pick Seth Green.
And so...
Even Seth Green wants to do himself.
We get this scene where she talks about how, like, it didn't always, it didn't always used to be like this with Mystery Inc. They actually used to be friends. And they do this scene where they flash back to them, driving around in the Mystery Machine. And here we get probably a lot of people, either you really like this scene or you really... Basically, they're like, everything was great, except one thing.
Fucking Scrappy shows up. I remember as a kid, I was like, oh my god, they acknowledge Scrappy. Because I actually like Scrappy, too.
For those of you
I don't like him in this movie, but I like Scrappy.
For those of you who don't know, if you're not either A, as old as we are, or just don't know Scooby-Doo, after the first two Scooby-Doo Where Are You and the Scooby-Doo show, they tried to, and the new Scooby-Doo movies.
Ratings started tanking, because ratings always tank.
They're like, all right, we got to try and do something. So, I got it. Let's add another dog. In comes Scooby-Doo's nephew, Scrappy.
Who is the total opposite of Scooby. Like, basically, when Scooby runs away, Scrappy's always like, I want to fucking pummel this guy.
Well, Scrappy's whole thing is he heard about his uncle's, adventures, and he wants to be like his uncle, not knowing that
Scooby is kind of a coward.
Although, to be fair, Scooby can be brave when he wants to be. I feel like a lot of writers don't get that with Shaggy and Scooby, is that they can be brave when they want to.
Yeah.
But, and to be fair, I get why a lot of people don't like him when he first showed up, because Scrappy more or less takes the role of every other character except Shaggy. Like, he makes traps. He oftentimes solves the mysteries for them. He gets into distress like Velma or like Daphne.
Yeah.
And not only that, when he first showed up, his voice was fucking obnoxious. He sounded like a little thug.
Listen, I fully love Scrappy Doo. I will sit here and defend Scrappy Doo.
To be fair,
I understand why nobody seems to like him.
No, to be fair, I don't mind him either. I actually like him later.
But no,
on.
I understand his voice is actually annoying.
No,
as
I prefer
fuck.
the later on versions of Scrappy where he's like Scooby Doo meets the Boo Brothers. Scrappy is the Scrappy I like.
Yeah.
So this movie decides, well, especially because Scrappy Doo is actually the subject of a TV tropes thing called the Scrappy, where you add this new character in and nobody likes him. Which is hilarious because he's actually one of the reasons why Scooby...
They should have just added in Doofus Doo.
We don't fucking talk about Scooby Dum, all right?
Listen,
Scooby Dum is actually worse.
Scooby Dum should be in the next live action Scooby.
Also,
movie.
and to be fair, Scrappy was actually why that show stayed on as long as it did, because
he was actually popular.
yeah, he was actually popular back in the day. And for those of you who think that he's as annoying as Scooby-Doo characters get, I raise you fucking Flim Flam from the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, because my fucking God.
Doofus Doo.
Scooby Dum is...
I want a Scooby Dum animated series.
No, you fucking do.
Yes, I do.
If you think Scooby-Doo's family is ridiculous, he has a cowboy dog buddy, dog cousin named Yabba Doo.
Scoobert?
First of all, that's Scooby's name.
I know.
Scoobert, Doobert, Doo.
You know exactly what I'm quoting, though. Don't fucking lie to me.
I know.
His fucking parents.
But basically, this is around the time when Scrappy showed up in the show. And basically, everyone fucking hates him, even Scooby, which I'm like, Scooby, you are his... Because, like, this movie actually doesn't remember that Scrappy is his nephew. They just play it like he's this other dog. To the point where Velma's even like, he wasn't actually a puppy, he was just a dog with a glandular problem, which I'm like, no, he was actually Scooby's nephew.
Yeah, it's like Scrappy gets Phantom Menaced, I would actually argue, unfairly, because he's not that bad.
He really isn't.
He's used correctly. He's not bad.
He's not that bad. But basically, Scrappy in this gets upset with the fact that, like, no one takes him seriously. He pees on Daphne, which...
Oh.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Oh, God, he's peeing on me. Dang it, Scrappy, you know what I said. You don't pee on Daphne. I almost wanted Fred to be like, that's my job.
Jesus Christ! What the fuck, Adam?
Look, I'm not saying I actually... like
Adam!
Like,
No, I want you to look at me. What the actual fuck?
I'm just saying, like, that would have been...
No. I'm thinking about this the whole fucking time. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Oh, my dear delusional.
You're turning into Doug.
There's
Next thing you know, you're going to be hiding bodies in a front yard.
No! What the fuck is wrong with us in this episode? We're going so off the rails.
We're just having fun.
No, we are. But
it's because Doug left me. That's why.
Yeah, but basically Scrappy makes an ultimatum. It's either he becomes the new leader of Mystery Inc. or he walks. So
they're all like, okay.
They just leave him on the side of the road next to a sign called the Yucca Flats, which is a reference to an actual horror movie called The Beast of Yucca Flats, which is not very good. It's an MST3K fodder.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, they that's actually one of their more iconic ones, is The Beast of Yucca Flats.
Jesus.
But so basically, and if you're trying to solve the mystery, you already got the fucking answer, because spoilers, Scrappy's actually the villain, because
he's in a meat suit.
Well, not only that, but like the only because that scene, it comes out of nowhere. The only reason it's there is to give yet another suspect, and since
that pissing dog.
And so it's the only thing that,
Scrappy.
but you get what I mean, right? That's really fucking lame. That like they basically spoiled it, but like that's because they haven't written Scrappy in.
It's because they want to act like we're fucking stupid. Like, here you go, here's your clue.
So while this is going on, Scooby gets a call about free hamburgers in the fucking woods, despite the fact, that he can get free food whenever the fuck he wants, because that was the whole reason they came.
No, listen, I got some hamburgers
in a sack.
Like Scooby, you might as well say, "Hey, dumbass, here you go."
Like I get that Scooby's a little dumb, but he's not that dumb.
He's not an imbecile.
He's not Scooby dumb. He's Scooby Doo. But so basically,
I don't even know if Scooby Dumb would fall for that shit.
This causes him to run into the monsters of the piece, which I don't think they get a name. They're just demons, I think.
You gave them a name earlier.
Oh yeah, the demon rabbits. But
the demon
like,
rabbits.
what are your opinion on the demon rabbits design wise?
Again, the CGI has not aged well.
No, I will admit,
when I first watched this movie, I thought the design was really, really good. It definitely. It looked different than anything else we had seen Scooby-Doo-wise up to that point. And I still would argue it probably does still look different than what we're used to. So I think in that essence, it works really well for the film because it's something new. I just, again, to me, the dated CGI kind of wears on it, as well as the fact I think they're just kind of generic,
especially because they're
just kind of pretty lame.
Well, especially because after this scene, they don't really do as much. Like, I actually think they're kind of creepy. I think they're kind of creepy in the scene they're introduced. After that, most of they
turn into comedic relief.
Well, not only that, most of this movie takes place during the day, so they're in their human suits.
Yeah.
So like, they don't get to do as much.
We don't have that much of a budget.
No,
We've blown most of the budget on Scooby-Doo. We need to just manage the cost.
I actually will get. I think because of how stilted the CGI was, they kind of worked with that. They have this kind of unnatural way they move.
Yeah, I was
almost
just
like
just
stop
about to
motion.
say that. I was actually just about to say they don't move normally. So I think it actually
it
really aids in the fact that
they're demons.
They're demons and they're not of this world. So in a sense, again, they work really well. I just think that the CGI is both a beneficiary to them and also a detraction because it just looks fucking ugly.
Well, then especially when later on when they get defeated, because they start doing really cartoony shit because basically when they're exposed to sunlight, they explode because they're demons. And so basically, instead of like throughout most of this film where they were subtly kidnapping the kids, the demons just say, fuck it, let's just kidnap everyone. Which is hilarious because like Velma is instead of Fred, Velma is the one that's like skeptical about these things not being real. Like one of them actually grabs her and she starts pulling on its face, trying to see if like it's a dude in a suit or animatronic. Well, then like it obviously doesn't, so it breathes in her face and I guess knocks her the fuck out. Which they have this, I guess, ability to knock people out with their breath, but like I don't think it's used after this scene.
No, it's not. If not, that I remember.
Yeah, but basically, a chase scene ensues, and they capture Fred and Velma, but Daphne, Scooby, Shaggy, and Mary Jane manage to escape. And for some reason, they manage to get to the shore, and the demons stop following them for some reason. I guess kind of implying that like there's very few of them, so they just decide to round up everybody else. It really doesn't make sense why they don't
keep going.
Yeah. It might have something to do with the weird voodoo priest that's on the island that we didn't bring up.
Oh, God, I forgot about that guy.
So there's like...
If you've ever seen me, like, do it...
Oh, yeah.
For people that know me from work, if you've ever seen me, like, in the meat room when I'm doing cut-ups, Doug's watched me do it before. He's walked in on me doing it. It's like, yes, man, no... doing the voodoo thing in that movie. That's where I get that from.
So, would you mind
doing? The thing with the chicken? I'm like, no.
Would you mind explaining the voodoo guy? Because like
I can't explain it. It's so fucking stupid.
Because like basically Daphne runs into this voodoo priest because she thinks the voodoo priest is the bad guy.
He's
but, like,
doing this fucking voodoo shit with the chicken. Like he's about to stab this chicken. And I'm like, could it be any more
stuff? Yeah, no.
To quote James Rolfe, could it be any more common? Like,
well, I will admit he has one of the best lines where he tells Daphne that like go with some less primary colors. It's the middle of May about her outfit, which I'm like,
oh my God, yeah. And then like, so Velma starts being like, oh no, it's obviously you that is the villain. That guy's just like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
I'm like, he's just a dude practicing voodoo. It's not illegal. Like, shit.
Like,
what the fuck, man?
I was about to say, I don't think voodoo really is about summoning demons.
I'm just, to this day, if you ever see me doing that, that is what that is from. It is just me mocking how dumb that scene is.
Well, again, like, the voodoo priest is just there. Like, why the fuck is this voodoo priest just practicing voodoo at a theme park? Like, what?
I gotta do the whole ritual over again. Imagine what Like, stop. This is dumb and it doesn't add anything. Now that Doug probably understands now where the fuck that comes from.
And so, like, they try to radio for help from the mainland, and they basically sleep the entire night on the beach. And then they wake up the next day, and everybody's back listening to Sugar Ray.
Oh my God. Could it be any more early 2000s?
Yeah.
Might as well have gotten fucking Smash Mouth to show up and play Walking in the
admit,
Sun.
I think this scene also works because it's really unsettling how everything's back to normal.
And you're just like, something is not right.
Right.
Here.
Well, basically, you know, Fred, Daphne, and Scooby are all like, what the fuck? When they run into Fred, who's possessed.
This movie would have been better if it was rated R. They just had everybody swearing
all
over the place.
But basically, you know, the scene that he keeps referencing where Fred talks in this really dated, like...
Man, she was like, what? I was like, later on. You know what I'm saying? What's up, dog? And
like, no.
Dog?
Okay, Fred.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, like,
no, and then it's like, takes off the sunglasses, like, what the fuck?
And then everyone just starts, like, because, like, their eyes turn green and they start, like, talking in this really deep voice. And so we get a chase scene. We get a chase scene, I think, set again to Sugar Ray, I think.
I think it is to Sugar Ray.
But basically...
Does anybody remember Sugar Ray?
Yeah, but basically, no. Daphne gets captured at this point. But so basically, Shaggy, Scooby, and Mary Jane are getting chased around. Eventually, they come to a shed that has these ATVs, which I'm like, the fuck are these ATVs
Okay, to
for?
be fair, I can explain that two ways.
I mean,
it was the early 2000s, and there was an ATV craze again.
Yeah.
So that was probably like, okay, because a lot of movies did that. And like a lot of movies, like a lot of action movies had like, you know, like we'll have a chase scene, it'll be on four-wheelers.
Well, I mean, when I turned 16, my dad got me an ATV.
Well, it's just, I just, it was kind of like a Bond deal. Like, let's have an ATV chase. And then B...
To be fair, the ATV chase is actually one of the better scenes in this movie.
And then B, since it's an amusement park, I can at least understand, especially because it's an island.
Yeah.
They probably rented them out.
I assume it was like, you know, like, oh, you can explore the island on these ATVs. But basically, as they're doing this, Mary Jane's riding on the back with Shaggy, and Scooby gets his own. Well, basically, as they're running through, Mary Jane gets smacked in the face with a stick, and it causes her, which is, I argue, one of the more fucking horrifying scenes. So basically, her face is all because she's possessed. Because I guess at some point, either in the night or during that scene where they're all just trying to figure out what's going on, she got possessed off screen. Like, basically, her face is all like.
Scooby's just like, oh shit.
And then she smacks her face, and like Scooby is like, ruh-roh. And so basically, after they get away, Scooby starts like barking and freaking out which I'm like, Scooby, I get that you're a dog. You can talk. Just tell Shaggy.
Oh my God! At least the Shaggy and Scooby arguing.
It's such a dumb scene.
It has one of the dumbest bits of dialogue in the whole movie.
Oh God, I think I know what you're talking about.
No, Scooby-Doo, your mom eats cat poop. I'm just like,
will
you fucking stop with this? This shit's not funny. It's like, just dumb. I'm only laughing because it's so stupid.
Like they're trying to make it like the Mystery Incorporated are adults now, and I'm like, that's not.
Do you and I talk like this?
No.
When we're not just trying to be complete dumbasses.
Children don't fucking talk like that. Like, and so basically, a trap door opens up underneath Scooby, so he gets captured by the demon, by the possessed. And Mary Jane, I guess, in a way of trying to trick him, tries to convince Shaggy to leave the dog. And Shaggy, even though he's mad at Scooby-Doo, is like, I can't, because he's my best friend. So Shaggy dives into the hole, which I'll admit is pretty funny for Shaggy, because he just dives into this hole. And I'm like, dude, it's dirt. There's no water here. And so he wanders around these caves for a little bit, and he comes across this giant, like, urn sort of thing, full of spirits of the people that have been possessed by these demons. Basically,
and then Freddy's one of them.
Yeah. Basically, well, he finds Velma first. And Velma basically tells him, let me go, and I'll return to my body. And so, he does that, and I think he releases Fred and Daphne after that. He doesn't let you, and then actually this is funny because he tries finding his friends. He picks his one. He's like, "Oh, thank God." He's like, "Sorry, I'm not looking for you." He puts
like, damn, man.
Like, damn, dude, that's cold.
He basically says, "Fuck you."
But so, we don't follow Daphne and Fred's soul, but we follow we follow Velma's. Velma's soul returns to her body, and the demon is expunged from her when she does that. And like it looks like he's gonna like kill her or something. And basically, the sun vanquishes the demon, and it like makes. And I will admit, this is how they blow up is freak. Is like they like.
It's also kind of ripped off of Buffy because that's basically how the vampires explode in that.
Well, yeah, because
show.
they get like these zit basically that like they bubble and boil and they.
Well, that's just basically their skin boils, which is a burn thing.
We also get the scene where Linda Cardellini is in the Velma Skimpy outfit, where it literally like cuts like the entire like chest portion out of her. Basically, they power girl her and give her a boob window.
I thought that was the second movie.
No, the second movie is where she's in the skin tight cat suit.
I absolutely forgot about this scene. Probably because I haven't watched this movie in a decade.
It's not like it's a scene because like literally for the rest of this movie, she's in like a halter top basically. Like, they don't really draw your attention to it, but if you were 13-year-old me going through puberty, oh, you noticed. And so she figures out a way for them to, like, that they can kill these things, that they can get all the souls out, and they can expose them all to sunlight. While this is going on, Shaggy manages to grab the Daemonitis, which is this weird pyramid thing that pops open.
It's the Millennium Puzzle.
Yeah, it actually basically is the Millennium
Puzzle.
Puzzle.
The Millennium Puzzle.
Actually, yeah. And so basically, I think due to the events of the Daemonitis, or just Daphne and Fred couldn't find their bodies, so their souls end up mixed up, so that Fred is in Daphne's body and Daphne is in Fred's body. Well, eventually they all meet up again after, I think, another chase scene ensues. And something causes all their souls to swap. Because I think Daphne ends up in Shaggy's body for a bit, too. And she's like, oh god, why do I suddenly crave fudge-covered eggplants? And again, something like it's such a stupid scene because like it doesn't go anywhere.
They're supposed to laugh, damn it.
Like I get it, but
laugh,
like
it's dumb.
But like there was a plot here, guys. Like I know you're trying to make jokes too, but like you there's like a mystery you're trying to tell me. Well, basically after the whole soul swap debacle, they go back to the voodoo priest who explains what the Daemonitis is. That basically, if I remember correctly, you harvest souls with it, and the person who uses it needs a pure soul as well, and it will I guess grant you like infinite power, some cliche bullshit. Like unlike say like Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, where the bad guys actually have like they want immortality, and the do that they have to kill people like once a harvest moon or whatever. Here it's just random power. Basically they figure out the whole reason someone wanted revenge on Mr. Ink, but it wasn't just
what a shock.
Yeah, but like it wasn't just revenge. They needed a pure soul, which I will admit this dialogue is actually pretty good. Where Fred's like, "We need a pure soul. Where are they going to get that?" And Velma goes, "They didn't say it had to be human." And so basically Scooby-Doo is the pure soul because he's a dog. Like, you can't get much purer a soul than a dog's.
Yeah.
So basically the gang realized they have to work together because as much as they all are mad with each other, none of them could ever stay mad at Scooby-Doo. I will grant this movie this. They get that, like, as much as the gang is having a fight right now, Scooby-Doo is still their dog. So they come up with a plan, which I actually will admit, I think this plan's actually kind of clever. Basically, they're going to use this weird disco ball, and they're going to vent sunlight down onto the disco ball, and the disco ball will basically reflect light everywhere. They'll knock the urn over full of souls. All the souls will find their bodies, and then they'll just kill all the demons in one swoop. Unfortunately, of course, it doesn't go according to plan. Shaggy pretends to be one of these demon guards that's bringing Scooby, because for some reason Scooby, because like there's actually a lot of deleted scenes in this film.
What a shock.
Because there's a scene where like it explains why Scooby-Doo is like actually excited to be a part of this ritual. Because basically Mondavarius tricks him into thinking that it's not going to kill him. And also because of the fight he had with Shaggy. But basically Shaggy and Scooby make up, but unfortunately they don't make up fast enough. And there's a scene where like basically Freddy and Velma have to pretend to be possessed because the possessed are like doing this dance that's a part of the ritual. And I love it where the ritual stops, but Fred keeps going not realizing that everyone else stopped because he got really into the dance. And then he sees everyone else stop. So he stops.
That shit's actually
that shit was actually really funny. And I could actually see Fred doing that. But basically, Mondavarius has this weird mechanical crane arm that's shaped like the Damon Ritus. And he uses it to pluck Scooby's soul out of his body. But thankfully, he absorbs a bunch of souls, but he doesn't get to absorb Scooby's because Shaggy grabs onto the crane and it knocks Mondavarius off the platform. And I think also while this is going on, Daphne fights this luchador who is working for Mondavarius.
Who's the damsel in distress now?
Oh yeah, where she straight up.
Which I'm like, again, it's SMG be like, oh, I do this on Buffy all the time. No worries.
Well, basically, because basically Daphne needs to go up and break the vents that are blocking off the sunlight from the underground. Which I guess the luchador's whole thing was his whole thing is to guard that vent. I don't know. So while this is going on, Velma and Fred come up to Mondavarius, who's been knocked unconscious. And they notice there's like a tear in his neck that's actually a mask that he's wearing. So they rip off his face, and it's a robot. It's actually not a robot. Because the chest of it opens and ta-da-da-da-da-da! Puppy power!
Bro, you did that right in my ear.
Sorry.
Holy fuck.
Well, you know. But
I can't hear.
Oh, shut up.
Are you saying something?
Oh, no, maybe if you'd stop looking at NASCAR while I'm fucking talking.
Fucking leave me alone. I needed to check.
Did you fucking buy Spider-Man Rain?
It's still one of the funniest things ever.
But, like, when you saw the reaction that Scrappy was actually the bad guy, were you like, what the fuck?
I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, because, like...
6-year-old me was like, are you kidding me?
Like, granted, I did that too. It wasn't until I was much older that I realized how stupid that reveal is with the fact that, like, the flashback with Scrappy is only there to explain that no shit, the villain is Scrappy. And so Scrappy, because he absorbs some of the souls, turns into, like, this weird demon dog. And so the rest of the plot is them trying to get the light down and kill all the demons, which they do succeed. And they defeat Scrappy because he has like a miniature version of the Damon Ritus in his chest. And Shaggy and Scooby defeat him by plucking it out with the robotic arm, and the souls I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Writer's block.
Well, to make it even better, it turns out Mondavarius was actually real. Like, Scrappy, like, kidnapped him and locked him up in a cell for, like, 2 fucking years.
Which is like, what the fuck, man?
And basically, you know, the gang learns about friendship and bullshit. Scrappy gets arrested in, like, one of the dumbest fucking things ever. In fact, I think to this day, like, they've yet to reuse Scrappy.
Yeah, because they realized that, okay, he bombed in this movie. We're not using him anymore. Which I'm like, again, it's not the movie's fault.
Well, not only that, like,
it's not Scrappy's fault. The movie was shit.
You know, and unfortunately, thanks to the internet, it's one of those things where everyone's like, "Well, he was shitty," and I'm like, not really. Like, when used, well, Scrappy was.
That's what we like to call historical revisionism.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So that's the first film because let's just give our final thoughts on this film first, and then we'll move on to Monsters Unleashed.
I'll give it a 6 out of 10. It's not good. It's not very good. I don't think it's awful. I think it's at least enjoyable, which to me is probably the most important thing out of any movie.
Yeah.
Is the movie fucking enjoyable? And for the most part, this movie is enjoyable. There's some parts where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna fucking fast forward because I just don't give a shit. But other than that, I mean, there is stuff in there that I think is kind of funny.
Yeah.
The Fred shit, like I find that funny.
That's not true. There are chicks like you turn me on too. Sorry.
The hamburger thing is funny. I didn't say it was a smart funny. I just said it was funny.
Oh no. To be fair, we were laughing a lot when we were remembering this fucking movie.
Again, it's just there is shit in this that I will laugh at because I do think it is funny. Whether or not that's the nostalgia affecting it or not, I don't know. It probably is, but I'll still at least get a chuckle out of it.
I'd probably grant this movie a 5. There's 3 big flaws I have with this film, just because of which I wish I could give it a 6, but there's 3 flaws. there are parts of this movie where it's a generic kids film, like the fart jokes, and those scenes are insufferable to sit through. Like, they're just not good. And like, I get that, like, well, and it comes with it's also paired with my other problem. This film is way too adult when it's trying to be both a kids film and a film for all ages. And also,
basically, it skirts the line. It doesn't know what it wants to be.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it isn't like you found like a sweet spot in the middle. It's you're constantly waffling back and forth.
You're in puberty.
Do you want to be this movie is puberty. Like, it is gangly and cringy in places.
It's awkward.
It's gangly and awkward in places.
It belongs on the subreddit cringe.
Yeah. And the problem is, because in my opinion, there are good scenes in this movie. Like, both him and I agree. But like, of those two things, it's like, because in my opinion, I actually like the dark parody stuff it does.
Yeah.
But like, and then I'm dragged back by the stupid kids movie shit. And the other problem is, if you're a big Scooby-Doo fan, this movie
can be downright insulting at
times. Exactly.
Come on, guys. I like a cartoon about a talking dog and his buddies solving mysteries. I'm not an idiot.
Yeah, like
like I like how simple it is.
But like I said, like, I think there are good parts of this. But again, this movie is kind of like almost like if Scooby-Doo were a soda, and
this is Faygo.
No, this is LaCroix, where you took
it's fucking TV static.
Where you took one good drop of Scooby-Doo, and you put it in carbonated water, and you swirled it around. That is what it is. Okay, so let's move on to Monsters Unleashed, because we'll be quick about this, because
you're gonna have to leave this, because I have seen it once, and I have no interest in ever watching it again.
That's fair.
I remember basically nothing about it.
Monsters Unleashed, I actually am gonna be upfront. I'm gonna rate this a 4. Like, I actually think this movie is worse in a different way, because basically this movie, I think it does a lot more right. Like, it references a lot of the classic Scooby-Doo stuff. Like, they reference the Black Knight ghost from the first episode. They reference the Creeper, the Tar Monster. I think they reference Gator Ghoul at one point. But like, they granted, I think this is the movie where James Gunn comes in, because James Gunn clearly knows Scooby-Doo. So like, everybody acts in character much more. The problem is this movie, where even though I think the mystery is kind of obvious, they did try to do a mystery with the first film.
Yeah.
Here, the mystery is unsolvable. And that's because of the villain.
It's the mystery of why the fuck am I watching this?
Yeah. So to give you a quick rundown of this plot, basically, they're celebrating the anniversary of Mystery Inc. forming. And in their honor, Coolsville, the town from Pup Named Scooby-Doo, which I think this movie canonizes the idea that they lived in a place called Coolsville, because like some of the other movies and later TV shows don't explicitly state that they're from the town of Coolsville.
Yeah.
But basically, Coolsville opens a museum dedicated to their exploits. So like they've got like the costumes of like various monsters. They've got memorabilia, which I actually think is a really cool scene, because you get to see all this like stuff like, oh hey, I remember that.
Oh, I remember.
Unfortunately, this is kind of where the movie goes downhill, because there's a couple of plot points going on. The first is there's this monster guy that's reanimated all the costumes of the old monsters and made them real, using, I guess, this weird gas. Like, they later point out it's like a gas or something that like makes these things come to life. And basically, you have that. The subplot where Scooby and Shaggy feel like they might have to break away from Mystery Inc. because they're not taken as seriously as the rest of the group. They want to be taken seriously, basically. Which I don't really think works, because I don't really think Shaggy or Scooby care if they're taken seriously.
Yeah. They're more concerned about, hey, what do you guys got to eat?
Yeah. Or just being buds.
Yeah.
And the really... Like you were talking about Buffy before. Here, I think they straight up just take like something from like the earlier seasons of Buffy, where literally Velma has a crush on a dude, and Daphne tries to help her get laid.
No, they definitely borrow a lot from it.
Like,
I remember that part, at least.
Particularly,
I've seen it mentioned.
Particularly, and to be fair, this is actually from another reviewer. Basically, it's reference to like Willow trying to hook up with like that dude that she wanted to hook up with Either that or actually Seth Green's character.
And I'm about to hold on, crack out my Buffy knowledge here.
No,
Because for those who don't know, I love Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I give no shits.
The floor recognizes Colton Amos.
The floor recognizes the Buffyite.
The Buffyite.
Okay. So basically, that is a reference to the very first 2 episodes, The Harvest and it's actually Welcome to the Hellmouth and the Harvest. It was actually a 2-part episode. It's a direct continuation. There is a novelization of it. Basically, it's both episodes in one. Just in case you like to read. But basically, what that happens is Buffy and Willow meet each other at the club, at the club in Sunnydale called the Bronze, and basically they talk about it and basically Willow has a crush on this other person that eventually comes to be part of the gang called the Scoobies, ironically enough, named Xander, who Willow has a crush on all her life. She actually mentions in the show. We dated once. We broke up because he ripped the head off my Barbie.
Okay, that's mildly cute.
Yeah, but basically, so they're talking about like Willow's like, guys don't really like me.
Yeah.
Because Willow looks like her mom dressed her in the early seasons. She's very, very mousy, basically.
Yeah.
So Buffy basically tells her seize the day because tomorrow you might be dead.
Yeah.
So Willow hooks up with somebody who happens to be a fucking vampire. So she gets kidnapped. To which Buffy is like, that is not what I meant. Like, shit.
Yeah. Well, because, I know a lot of people are because, I think they kind of misinterpret that for this movie where they want to show that Velma has a skanky side or, a slutty side. I'm like,
guys, this is a kid's movie.
Well, not like that. That wasn't what Buffy was telling her. Buffy was like, just show Xander a side of you that he doesn't think you have.
Yeah.
Actually show that you are adventurous and spontaneous.
Yeah.
Not dress in a fucking skin-tight cat suit outfit and make it be like,
how do you like me now, boys?
Yeah.
like, no.
Who's your mommy?
Which I'm still mommy? Like, that is the only thing I remember about that movie. Really, is that scene. And I'm like, what the fuck? I just remember Seth Green's reaction is my reaction to watching that. What are you talking about?
Especially because, this movie also has another villain in the form of this newscaster that hates Mr. Ink, played by Alyssa fucking... No, the actress that played Batgirl in Batman and Robin.
Alicia Silverstone.
Alicia Silverstone. I almost said Alyssa Milano. I'm like, that is not the right name.
I was like,
Alicia
Silverstone.
Silverstone.
Now they're recycling actresses from Charmed.
It's Alicia Silverstone, and my God, I actually think this is actually a worse role for her than fucking Batgirl. Because literally she's only there to be the most obvious fucking... Because, she is so obvious they had to put in a fucking red herring by having her camera guy pretend to be the bad guy. And even then, she's not actually who she says she is. She's the guy that was the original pterodactyl guy. Because he faked his death in prison by, escaping, by making pterodactyl wings. Basically, they think he falls to his death. He didn't. So he pretends to be Alicia Silverstone. To the point where apparently he had sex with the camera guy as her.
Which is like... Okay, there's a lot to unpack here.
Well, because he's like, but we cuddled, and I'm like...
Bruh. He's having a bra moment with all the spaces in it, bruh.
And I'm like... But you get my point, right? There's no way that there's actually, you can solve this mystery.
It just doesn't make any sense.
There's no logical points. Whereas at least I'll give the first film credit. It actually had the mystery and gave you some logical suspects. Here, there's no logic. This movie is more about the chase scenes and the wacky shit. The point where you get this really fucking dumb scene where Shaggy and Scooby find this lab full of potions, and it makes them, get, a female body, or, get really buff. And, they start, mutating and stuff. And Scooby accidentally drinks one that makes him smart to the point where he's like, oh my God, I realize how horrible it is being a human. I must reverse all this. Because I miss being a dog. And I'm like... But you already have human sentience.
It's just one of those things where it's like, what the fuck?
And it's just all these weird fucking jokes that
aren't very funny.
Because this movie really tries to hammer the kids movie even more so,
and it fails hardcore.
And it fails so fucking hardcore. Because at least with the first film that there are decent jokes. Here, there's not a decent joke whatsoever. Like, the only joke I think that kind of lands is when Scooby and Shaggy go to the villain bar dressed up in what they think are villain outfits, which is just disco suits and afro wigs. Except there's also this scene where one of the female villains in the bar, like, wants to fuck Scooby, despite the fact that his costume is so fucking obvious. Railroad, baby.
I'm like, just like, stop.
Stop!
I'm begging you at this point.
It's bad enough people
stop.
It's bad enough people make jokes that Shaggy wants to fuck Scooby. But like, God. Although, admittedly, there's
this channel is not for kids because we are definitely not.
No, Kappa would come for us so fucking hard.
Kappa would be like, whoa, what is this shit?
But I will admit that, like, there's only one really good scene. And it's basically all these, like, this feeling of, like, you know, the Coolsville against the gang. It makes them all realize that they didn't realize they don't let Shaggy and Scooby know how much they appreciate them, which gives Shaggy the motivation to be a bit smarter with his detective work. But there's this really great scene where basically the bad guy's going to have the tar monster kill everyone in Mystery Inc. And Scooby's afraid for a moment. And then, realizing that he's going to lose his friends, Scooby mans up and uses a fire extinguisher to fight off the tar monster. And even get the machine, this weird machine that the guy built that he wants to use to make like an army of monsters. Again, this villain is really generic. But I do love the scene because, like, Scooby, like, saves everybody, and, like, the monster's like, who do you think you are? Scooby? Dooby? Doo! And I wish that this movie was allowed to have one F-bomb, and I wish Scooby right there went...
Scooby fucking Doo?
No, Scooby? Dooby? Doo! Motherfucker!
Oh, my God. Just listen, I just want a Scooby-Doo movie now where Samuel L. Jackson voices him. No, I've had enough of these motherfucking
monsters in this motherfucking haunted house. And where is my fucking chemist?
Where is my fucking Scooby snacks? God.
But yeah,
that would be the funniest parody. Can we please get Samuel L. Jackson to read a Scooby-Doo scene? I'm fucking begging you. Somebody animate that. I really want to see this. Because I think it'd be funny as hell.
But so you can probably just give your quick rating since you've only seen it once, but once was enough.
2 out of 10.
Yeah, no,
I'm gonna say 2 out of 10. Would not recommend. Do not want to watch again.
Yeah, like if you have to watch either of them, watch the first one. But honest to God, guys, just watch. If you really want to watch a good Scooby-Doo movie,
watch Zombie Island.
Watch Zombie Island.
Witch's Ghost.
Hell, watch Alien Invaders and Cyber Chase. At least
watch Doubt Under, because Doubt Under is better than this.
Doubt Under's pretty good.
Meets the Phantom of the Park. Watch Kiss.
I mean, to be fair, probably at some point watch Scooby-Doo meets Kiss.
To which I'm gonna be like, I like Kiss, so this is okay.
Yeah. No. Okay, real quick. The movie implies that Kiss is actually magical girls like Sailor Moon, and they transform with like the power of rock and roll. They have like actual like Sailor Moon transformation sequences in this.
That makes sense, honestly. You gotta remember, this is Gene Simmons.
No, I know.
The guy, they sold a
My
Kiss.
dad is a rock star.
No, listen. They sold a Kiss coffin.
Yeah, I've seen
for the diehard Kiss fan who actually did die.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I've seen that. But like...
It's like, I get it, Gene Simmons, you like money.
Well, to be fair...
Because, and this is off track, but kind of, but he has a show called Gene Simmons Family Jewels.
Yeah, I've seen that.
His son on it is fucking hilarious because his son realizes his dad is a joke. Yeah. And there's actually this scene where, like, it's him and his dad. Like, it's the comedic interplays where they're interviewing him, and it's, like, him and his son. And his son has, like, this stack of money, and he's just like, I have replaced your family. I have replaced everything you love. I'm just like, that's all I can remember because I'm like, no, that is Kiss. That is Kiss to the T. That is that whole band.
As someone who likes a lot of Kiss's songs, even I'm like...
They're not a band. They're a marketing play.
They really are. They unbelievably they are, but...
I mean, no offense to the Kiss Army, but... I mean, they're less of a band and more of a marketing play.
To be fair, there's also this really great scene where they destroy an alien armada by playing "You Were Made to."
I was made for loving you.
Yeah, I was made for. Which I'm like,
which is a fucking disco song too.
Which I'm like,
they wouldn't play for years. Like that was like because that's from an album called Dynasty, whereas, as they say in Australia, Dynasty. So they fucking. That was a disco record. I Was Made for You Love, and you has like a drum machine on it. It's a disco song, right?
Yeah, no, I've seen people.
They wouldn't play it for years because they were like, nobody likes disco. We can't play that, you know. So they actually played it at the Donington Monsters of Rock Festival, which is like you got like Metallica,
Yeah.
and Slayer, all these fucking
So you're
heavy
telling me
bands.
they got Master of Puppets, and then you.
Yeah, listen, they played it, and because like Gene Simmons was like, we thought we were gonna get booed, right? All of a sudden, the fucking crowd starts going nuts, and I'm just like, y'all were dancing a disco at Monsters of Rock. The
Fair,
fuck?
it's not like
It's not a bad disco song.
Well, no, it's not like it's like super disco-y. It's like rock disco, but
We've gotten off track so much.
let's kind of just give like an overall, like I said, what you want to give like an overall thoughts to these?
Like I said, overall, just going more so on my experience with the first movie. I don't think it's a bad movie. I certainly don't think it's a good movie. The first one I'm still gonna say I give a 6 out of 10. The second one I give a 2 out of 10 because the second one is just god awful.
No,
it takes all the worst parts of the first movie, it just uses them, and it throws everything out that was at least manageable with the first one.
Except for the cast.
It's telling to me why they didn't make a live action Scooby thing until that Velma and Daphne movie that came out recently.
Cartoon Network did make a live action special where they were in high school. And
I know, but again, up to that point, they hadn't attempted it again because they realized it was a fucking bomb.
Yeah. To be fair, that live action Cartoon Network special was not very good either. Oh my god, I watched that when it first came out.
Never again.
No, like I literally stripped off my Batman costume and I went, never again.
What are your final thoughts?
Honestly, I don't even really understand why they needed to make a live action Scooby-Doo movie.
I don't either.
Like, this isn't really like this is one of those shows. Like, honestly, we probably will have to one day down the line talk about movies that shouldn't have been made in live action.
Yo, why did they make a live action Jetsons movie? I would have watched the shit out of that.
Do you remember the live action Flintstones movie?
I don't want to talk about it.
That's why.
I don't want to talk about it.
To be fair, I think one of the other reasons they haven't is because the Jetsons cartoon movie they made,
which I have on tape,
tanked.
Oh no,
like
I have it on
like
tape.
a motherfucker.
I have it on tape.
Like, which to be fair, I've seen that movie. I don't think it's that bad, but
that movie's not that bad.
It was that much of a disaster. I think the only thing that didn't tank about it was the ride they had at Universal Studios, which I rode on as a kid, which is also not very good. It's but like it's like again, like when they're not just ripping off better Scooby-Doo films, they can't decide what they want to be. And in my opinion, this really should have been like the Addams Family, where it's a dark parody. And to be fair, I mean, granted, the Addams Family was already kind of a parody, but like the Addams Family worked really well when you made it really dark and kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
In my opinion, if you really were going to do like, and I actually argue this with the Flintstones movie too, like they should have just went with just mocking the material. Like, you don't have to hatefully mock it. You could lovingly mock it. It's okay to lovingly mock the things. I mean,
look at Robot Chicken.
Look at Robot Chicken. Well, like, look at like any of the reviews we've done where I make stupid jokes about the things I love. It's okay to like joke about the things you like, guys. Like, it's okay to not be so obsessed with something that you can't even accept jokes about it.
Yeah.
But anyway,
like Xbox people.
Well, I mean, to be fair.
Excuse me?
I mean, to be fair, look at what they have to work with. And now that I pissed off all the Xbox fans in our...
On that note, guys.
I think this wraps everything up. I hope you enjoy this and, keep looking forward to the next Halloween stuff we got coming for you.
I'm Average Joe Squad.
I'm Zongetsu134.
And as always,
we ask you
to remember the hyphen and take care.
No, you can turn off. Yeah, sorry, I